Today in the media conference with Lal Goel, which is brought to you by V4 News, Karu News, V4 Stream, Malnadu TV India, News Gaon se, Samvad Sarokar News, Bharat Post News, Gyan and Organ Donation India Foundation. Our endeavor is to enlighten you with the current topic every day. And today, before I will go on the main topic, I would like to inform you that today the world is observing World Water Day. World Water Day held on 22nd March every year since 1993 focuses on the importance of fresh water. World Water Day celebrates water and raises awareness of the 2.2 billion people living without access to safe water. It is about taking action to tackle the global water crisis. A core focus of World Water Day is to support the achievement of Sustainable Development Goal 6, water and sanitation for all by 2030. Today, water is under extreme threat from a growing population, increasing demands of agriculture and industry, and the worsening impact of climate change. The theme of World Water Day 2022 is groundwater, making the invisible visible. The theme was proposed by IGRAC. Groundwater is a crucial resource that provides almost half of all drinkable water across the world, about 40% for irrigated agriculture and around 1/3 of the water required for the industry. Media conference with Lal Goel wishes that people will understand the value of water and support catalyzing conversations of water. And now coming to our today's topic, I would like to inform to all our viewers that today is the 22nd March 2022, and 2 years back, that is 22nd March 2020, our Honorable Prime Minister, Mr. Narendra Modi, declared the Janta Curfew. And from that day, media conference with Lal Goel started its operation. So today, media conference with Lal Goel is celebrating its second anniversary. We started with once a week program, but within a week, we have to go for thrice a week a program. And within a month or so, it was a 6 days a week. And the next month, we have to start daily programs. Apart from 1 or 2 days when I am traveling, otherwise this program was conducted daily. And during this program, we have different dignitaries, top dignitaries like governors, central ministers, senior bureaucrats, vice chancellors, former Supreme Court judges, army officers, police officers, professional businessmen, bureaucrats, and whatnot. From every field, we have all the dignitaries who have joined in last 2 years, and we have covered more than 700 episodes for diverse topics such as organ donation awareness, COVID-19, education, health, mental health, and many other current relevant topics. This program is live telecast by many channels and with a viewership of about 2 million daily. And on the 1st of January 2022, our viewership was about 5 million. And that day we have conducted a special program on organ donation awareness program with the legend Usha Uttab giving her performance, and that's why and the people loved the program and the viewership has touched that. But one thing I would like to share with you all, that during this 2 years journey, I personally had very good and sometimes bad experiences. But the good experiences were far more than the bad experiences. We have very good cooperations from the media channels. And I would like to thank those media channels who came in the very beginning, and that was Karnataka News, then Global TV, then V4 News, V4 Stream, then we have a News Gaon se, Samvad Saroka News, then Bharat Post News, and recently the Karu News and the Gyan has also came in their fold. And few have left for their own reasons. But all in this whole 2 years time, we found that the people loved this program. They wanted to see the quality program. They wanted to know the views of the experts. They are not interested many times for the tutu meme, which anchors are overpowering or shouting on each other. So this our endeavor is to provide you with that type of program, which will not only give you the information but sometimes entertain you also. It is not a easy task, I must say, I must confess, because in this last 2 years I have to sacrifice my entire time, because initially when I started program I was giving almost 17 to 18 hours a day to prepare the program, because I was totally new in this field. But gradually, now the time has reduced, because now I know the format, and with the experiences shared by the experts who are coming to my shows daily, different experiences of different field, I also learned many things. So now I, with their help, with their cooperation, we could succeed. But I will be thankless if I will not give the thanks to the viewers. Because of you, what is we are celebrating this second anniversary. Because of your cooperation, because of your viewership, because of your love and affection which you have bestowed. Because I know once I was traveling, I could not conducted the program. Immediately I received so many messages, what happened, why there is no program. So the love and affection which was shown by viewers, I'm so happy. And that's why today we have chosen a topic for this to celebrate this second anniversary, the responsible use of media. Because we want that media should be used responsibly. After all, we have to build the nation. We have a responsibility for our nation. We have the responsibility for the entire world. And for that, media is playing very big role. And that's why today's topic is responsible use of media. And we have very eminent, elite panelists with us, those who have full knowledge and those who have seen how the media worked initially, during many times, good times, bad times, highs and lows of medias, and what is the present scenario of media, and what are the positive suggestions media should follow. So I would like to invite my first panelist guest, and he is Dr. Mukesh Sharma. Dr. Mukesh Sharma is the former Director General of Films Division of India and also the former Additional Director General of Doordarshan, working for the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting for the Government of India. He has been in the TV broadcast industry since 1992. He won the Best DD Kendra Award in 2001. He was instrumental in changing the fortunes of DD Mumbai and was the #1 regional Marathi Kendra in the country for a number of years. Dr. Sharma is the recipient of several national and international awards for the work done in the film and broadcasting industry. He also holds a PhD in journalism and mass communication. He was the dean with the School of Branding and Advertising with NIMS University, Mumbai. He has started his own Hindi Kahaniyon Ka Anokha Andaz recently, not recently, about a year back. And in that, he is narrating very well-known stories from our ancient books, but in his own way. And the stories are about 3 to 5 minutes, but in such a way he explains and give that it leaves the impact. What we used to hear those stories from our grandparents, dadi or nani, now he is narrating with his own style, but the way he is narrating is really very impactful. So I invite Mr. Dr. Mukesh Sharma to say his views about the responsible use of media. Dr. Mukesh Sharma, you are such a senior person who worked in the Doordarshan, you have worked with the Ministry of Information, you know ins and outs, you know how the Doordarshan is started, although it started before you, but you were one of the key person who was the instrumental to develop especially the DD Mumbai Kendra, and which was number one. You were the person who started so many awards. You were the person, I still remember that almost all the top dignitaries, not only from the politicians, but the celebrities from the music side, and especially like legend Lata Mangeshkar ji, you brought on your show. And this shows the how deeply you were involved in the media. And you have also seen the emergence of the private channels in the media. You have seen how the social media emerged. So we would like to know overview about the responsible use of media. Dr. Mukesh Sharma, please.
Thank you, Lal Goelji. Thank you for inviting me today on this special occasion when you have completed 2 years. My heartiest congratulations to you. It is not an easy task in the media. I'm sitting there and I know how tough it is to have a daily program, a daily show, and how much homework has to be done to ensure that the show is worthwhile and the show is what you are going to talk about it, and to get people also on the show because everyone is so busy. But in any case, to cut the long story short, once again, I would say many happy returns of your day, the second time. Okay, coming back to media, sir, we were in a media, or we have seen the media. In fact, I have seen right from tape to non-linear today. It's a huge transition. When we used to work on tapes, or even celluloid also is no more now. So what media are we talking about? Are we just talking about the news media, or are we only talking about the social media, or are we talking about the newspaper media? Are we talking about the radio media? Are we talking about the film media? Are we talking about what we are doing right now, this online media? Or are we talking about, so media landscape, as I see, there are at least 10 to 12 different types of medias which are right now. And all these medias, if you ask me, are sitting back to back on your laptop, on your on your mobile phone. They are all there. Film is there, television is there, radio is there, newspaper is there, even live action programming is there. So the thing which earlier was only being handled by just one channel and few cinema halls and newspaper, that was, or radio, that was the media. So from 4 different medias, today the media has become a huge, I would say, domain, a huge place where so much is happening. The industry itself is multi-billion dollars. Of course, because of COVID, it has to take a little backseat, which 2 years ago was flourishing like anything. Of course, during this COVID period, one media which survived and which flourished, I would say, was OTT, the over-the-top media. Another which survived is people like you and me, who started their own channel and who started to engage people through online, because that was available. People were at home, they could watch it. So the technical aspect of media must have gone several changes. The content part is where I am little concerned. Now, what has happened is, because of your television, which earlier was under the control of the government of India, and we were all involved at that time, we were told that we are building a nation. And most of the programming was public service programming. So it was information, education, and a little of entertainment. And the entertainment, what we were getting were through cinema, through films. But primarily, we would also ensure, India being an agriculture country, most of the time we gave in our space, media space, for agriculture products, to ensure that the farmers are given the right education and the right experts come and tell them क्या करना है, क्या नहीं करना है, इस मौसम में, उस मौसम में. So all that radio also did. In fact, farm radio came up. The worrying part was, which today when I look back and I feel that we have opened a Pandora's box. I don't know if you remember, at one time, India was Indra and Indra was India, which means like to that extent that Rajiv Gandhi and the Congress people, they were all practically on a daily basis on Doordarshan. तो लोगों ने मजाक भी किया कि आज राजीव गांधी ने कुछ नहीं कहा, and that was also a news sort of thing. So a time came when people decide that if we do not let this cat out of the bag, if we don't release the media out of government control, we will never have the truth. We will never have what is happening. Good. I would say that that was something interesting, something worthwhile, which came up during that manthan. And then came Prasar Bharati. But then again, Prasar Bharati was made, but for 7 years, Prasar Bharati was in the cold storage because they did not announce the date from which date the act will come into being. Now, you know, any Parliament Act, once it is signed by the, once it is clear from the Lok Sabha, once it is clear from Rajya Sabha, once it is clear from President, the government and the particular ministry has to just announce that this act will be binding from so and so date. Now that announcement came 7 years later when the Congress government lost and the other government came, and then they said from tomorrow the media is there, the Prasar Bharati is there. Prasar Bharati had no time to start. It's like this कि जैसे आपका मीडिया कॉन्फ्रेंस विद गोयल है, उसके सामने एक बोर्ड लगा दें कि कल से मीडिया कॉन्फ्रेंस विद XYZ हो जाएगा. And the person is not ready. Mr. Goel had a particular style of doing it. I don't know how will I do it. There are a lot of things. So Prasar Bharati came into being, and with Prasar Bharati came a lot of problems. Because at least whatever was happening, suddenly it came to a standstill. Still, there was no recruitment, nothing was happening. For 10 years, sir, we could not leave behind a legacy of people who could take over from us. I remember that's why you said I was only working. In fact, I was one of the last Mughals who retired in 2017 because I came through direct UPSC and then joined directly as a director. The news, which was a very important factor under the control of the government, after Prasar Bharati, it continued to be under the control of the government, for which the entire thing was made up. Till date, I would say the news is separate. There is a separate Director General of News. Why do you need a separate DG of News when you have a DG of the Doordarshan? But DG News is separate today. And because of this, that particular aspect of controlling or having a news which is open to all never came up. But meanwhile, the private channels started coming. And they said, open it up. And of course, the skies were open and Supreme Court decision, you know, it came up, and then we have all seen. Now, what came with that was there was no discipline. There was no control. There was, for everyone, anything they could show. And because we had at least some rules and regulations. We cannot show anything which might, you know, create problem for women, or we cannot show for child. There were a lot of things. But it just opened up, and there was no control. And till date, there is no broadcasting law in this country, world's up. Till date. And that is why what you're saying, because ab kya ho gaya hai, it has gone so deep that every channel has some other party supporting it. Some other person, political, supporting it. So now nobody wants to change it. And media as it is a very strong one, because you can convert the mindsets. You can bring out so much of changes through this. Now, because of this entire thing, the news factor, what you're watching is, and everyone is shouting on the top of it. And also now, actually, I really do not know whom to believe, whom not to believe. As a viewer, I'm confused whether this is the government's view, or this is the party's view, or this is the channel's view, or this is the public view. I don't know. So still, at least I'm now going back to newspaper sometimes to ensure that at least, since they must have done some research. Because today what happens is the news channel, if it gives a wrong news, it doesn't come back to and ask. Of course, newspaper also, when they give a wrong news, they would put it on the 4th page to say, look, we are sorry, or we regret for it. But in channel and where you have a video and where you have an audio, where the impact is much more, because here you are trying to read the news yourself and you're trying to grasp it. There it is coming to you. But that control is lost. And the worst part on it is the social media, which is now created, because every channel has a social media channel on the laptop, on the online, and everyone is now to its own. At least this country doesn't know where to go, how to go, where to cross a line, where to draw a line, what not to do, how not to do things is a greater learning than how to do things, which nobody knows. So Lal Sahab, actually, I am totally disillusioned. If you ask me, I don't see anything which is coming out of this. कभी-कभी मैं कहता था कि मंथन जब होता है तो उसमें विष भी निकलता है और अमृत भी निकलता है. मान लेते हैं चलिए कि विष निकला, लेकिन यहाँ तो अमृत कहीं कोई दिखता नहीं, और निकलता है थोड़ा बहुत, वो विष उसको भी खा लेता है. So there is nothing coming up, और इतने लोगों को गलत न्यूज और फेक न्यूज और ये सब चीजें हो रही हैं कि पीपल, एक्चुअली मैं आम आदमी के लिए बहुत परेशान हूँ. मेरा जो आपने चैनल का जिक्र किया, चलाने का एक ही रीजन था, to ensure that कि at least जो भी मैं थोड़ा बहुत दे रहा हूँ, मैं लाइन तो नहीं मिटा सकता, I cannot erase the existing line of media. I'm only trying to make one more line so that at least I can say that यार ये भी तो है, ऐसा भी तो सोच सकते हो. We have lost everything as far as, you know, with the millennials, we have lost out on everything. They have no clue of our culture. They have no clue of what we are. अभी वो पूरी तरह Western भी नहीं है, वो Indian भी नहीं है. I do not know how to help them. I can end it there only.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Mukesh Sharma. I can understand the agony and pain with which you have given your thoughts today, because you have been, and I know that the way you have developed the Mumbai Doordarshan was a very, very positive way. The people you started talking, and the best part was, although it was in a Marathi channel also, which was going ahead, but still those who are not understanding the Marathi, they used to see many programs because of the contents, because the way you are bringing everyone together. And as you rightly said, that the channels have lost not only for the contents, but they have lost their responsibility towards the nation. And the worst part is the social media, the language which they are using today. And
Yes.
you say, if we shift the blame to millennium, or the no, I think the blame is to the media, because हम बचपन में पढ़ा करते थे, साहित्य ही समाज का दर्पण होता है. I think now media is the darpan or the mirror of the society. What type of media is showing today is the worst part, because there are always two sides of the coin. If you will just project the negative side, it will impact the society negatively. You have to show the positive side also, which is lacking, and which is lacking very badly, because earlier used to be very selected media, the radio, that is All India Radio, or the Doordarshan, I think, which is started somewhere in 50s or 60s,
Yeah. 57.
57, and newspaper, very selected newspaper, and they were very responsible. Not a loudspeaker either for the government or for the opposition. They give the balance. And that's why the parents, at least we know that in our time, our parents used to suggest I read Hindustan Times, because at that time North India is having Hindustan Times, to improve our English. Nowadays, I don't think any parents would like to suggest to read the newspaper, because the newspapers are showing, having all those materials which are injurious for the mental health of the child. So the responsibility of the media is very much, and the way you have expressed, it clearly shows that the media has gone down. But persons like you, those who are trying to bring back the media, to bring back the glory of the media, although we all are trying, media conference with Lal Goel is also one step, but we know that it's not easy. It's not easy. The TRP goes where all those people are coming in a big way. Then anyway, thank you very much, Dr. Mukesh Sharma, for giving your very, interesting, very realistic views about the media. I will come back to you after some time. Now, I would like to invite my next panelist guest, and he's Professor Dr. Sudhir Saran. Professor Dr. Sudhir Saran is the former visiting professor IIM Lucknow and University of Texas at Dallas, USA. He is the senior director of Don Bosco Group, Bengaluru. He is the founder of Dr. Sharan Consultancy, California, USA. He is the director of Eldo Private Limited, New Delhi. He has done his MBA from IIM Ahmedabad in 1980. He did PhD in 1986. He started teaching and researching business and entrepreneurship since 1984. He published research papers in reputed journals, international seminar proceedings, and chapters in books of readings. He started academic administration phase as dean in 1997, rising to executive director, controlling management and engineering institutes in 2007. Her Highness Governor of Karnataka nominated Dr. Sharan to the Senate of Bangalore University in recognition of his distinguished academic contributions. He was visiting professor to University of Texas at Dallas from 2012 to 2019. He also visited Washington State University and President University Indonesia on the invitation of the Dean Faculty of Business in 2018. He innovated and implemented a unique model to double the turnover with existing infrastructure in one accounting year. He is the co-promoter of Institute of Family Business Management Society. He is honorary director of NCR Delhi-based high-tech B2B digital startup. He is also co-founder of OWGI Foundation, which promotes social entrepreneurship ventures. Welcome, Professor Dr. Sudhir Saran on our show. Professor Dr. Sudhir Saran, you have heard Dr. Mukesh Sharma, the person who one can imagine the agony and pain because at his time, the Doordarshan was giving a very, very entertaining, very informative, and those programs where you can sit with the entire family. Today, the condition is if you are sitting in front of a Doordarshan or any channel, I will not say Doordarshan, any of the TV channel, you feel after 5 minutes or 3 minutes or 10 minutes, you would like to change the channel if your children or grandchildren are sitting with you. So we would like to know now from you and one more thing, because Professor Saran, viewers, as you know well, he is nowadays interacting with media conference with Lal Goel at least once or sometimes twice a week, and he is imparting his knowledge to the students. Where in during with the we are conducting a youth conclave in which the students from different colleges, universities, institutes, Pan India are joining, and where they are asking the questions on a particular topic, which he is replying. So in one way, this is also a way how to use responsibly the media, which Professor Saran is doing. So thank you for that, Professor Dr. Sudhir Saran. Now, we would like to know your views about the responsible use of media. Professor Dr. Sudhir Saran, please.
Thank you, Mr. Goel, for this opportunity afforded to me. I'm very honored to be here with you on your second anniversary. Thank you, Dr. Mukesh, for being with us. Thank you, Professor Pramod Pathak ji, to be here. The first thing that I want to say is media is called the fourth pillar of democracy. Not for nothing. And this brings us to the topic of the day, responsible use of media. On one hand, the history says media is very powerful. On the other hand, there are masters of media who want to deploy it for goals which are questionable. That's why we cannot underscore the importance of the theme today, responsible use of media. A few things in the limited time I will like to say. It was beautiful the way Dr. Mukesh presented the various divisions and versions and flavors of media. All of it boils down to this common folk saying, Jungle mein mor nacha kisne dekha. So, whether it is an act of glory or it is the most heinous act for mankind, but for media, it will remain just like that peacock in the forest, a unnoticed, unimpactful, unmentionable event. Once upon a time, in ancient times, not very far ago, when we had NASA, a scientist called Archimedes came up with his famous statement, give me a lever long enough and a place to stand, and I'll move the earth. That lever is our media today. When I'm talking today, 2022, this is the power media has. You see, there are instances when a lot of good has been done, and there have been instances when a lot of good has been erased. Who did it? The masters of communication. Masters of communication, when they get at their best, they become Vedas and our ancient rishis. When the masters of communication get to their devilish worst, what do? They achieve brainwashing of an order which is truly scary. In this context, in this backdrop, if we do not talk about responsible use of media, I think we are amiss in our own value system as a whole. And what I want to mention to you today is the world has become cleavaged into traditional media on one side and digital media on the other. As Dr. Sharma mentioned, media is just a vehicle. Who are the passengers? Who is the driver? This must be known. Media cannot be created and maintained without owners. Media today is private largely. A state control is an exception. Unlike the days Dr. Sharma mentioned when he started his career, media used to be a state controlled entity across the world, not so much private. It has been reversed. Now, what has happened is one set of masters have been replaced with another set of masters. Earlier, political power controlled the media. Now, capital is the power that controls media. One very respected role in media is of editor. Every time you and I interact, you are the chief editor, I am the guest. Now, the editor, as the word is derived, has to serve as a traffic policeman, edit what will be presented and what will be withheld, what will be encouraged, what will be discouraged. The criteria for editing must be objective if media is going to be responsible. The moment we lose sight that editing can be deviant from objective standards, we have now rolled the red carpet for the media to become the Frankenstein monster, which our Dr. Mukesh Sharma tried to paint in his modest and sincere way. A responsible media will never green signal the Frankenstein monster which we are seeing. You see, what has happened is in 1970s, a young man decided to put the greatest power in the hands of the most modest human being. His name was Steve Jobs, and he wanted to create something called a personal computer. That set the revolution for you and I to have the capacity to communicate unbelievable to people 50 years before us. Personal computers and the set of related things which Steve Jobs brought to the world, including the smartphone, which is what Dr. Mukesh Sharma was mentioning and you were mentioning, and I'm sure Professor Pathak will agree with me, has been the kind of lever Archimedes imagined, which will give him the power to move the earth if he found a place to stand. This is where the owners, if they are sincere, have to think of bringing editors who are objective. If we don't do anything else, just do this one, I think we'll achieve our dream of having responsible media. Why do I need responsible media? It is like a moment when man achieved the greatest feat in technology. In July of 1969, a man called Neil Armstrong set his foot on moon. His first sentence was, a small step for man, a giant leap for mankind. But for the modern telecommunications serving as the media, this content won't have been made immortal. It would have remained jungle mein mor nacha, kisne dekha kind of an event. But The telecommunication as a media had emerged that much. And today with the digital one, it is, in my opinion, 10,000 times more powerful than it was in July 69 for our purpose. The converse is the rotten content, truly rotten content, which has the power to stunt man's reasoning power. That content I call rotten. The dirty content is not influential to the extent the rotten content is. We must distinguish between the two. The rotten content is which will cripple the mind of a baby, which will stunt the mind of a teenager, and which will pygmy the mind of a man who has the potential to be a giant. Therefore, this is the second reason which I want to bring to our attention today in my brief introduction is important to be considered when we are talking about responsible use of media. The final point is this. I am lots more optimistic than Dr. Mukesh Sharma ji. The reason is this. Every time a state control is attempted, a form of censorship is born. The objective school of thought says of the greatest crime, greater than killing a baby, is stifling the media through censorship, because government has monopoly on use of force against initiation of force. That is the political science I subscribe to. And therefore, the privatization is one window in otherwise a dark hall. So I'm optimistic that no matter what kind of Frankenstein monster, vested interest, and corrupt rulers attempt, today we are at a point that we have that a small window accessible to us. I'm saying this one in particular way because our media conference is Lal Goel has been trying to be the sparrow in the world of birds. Thank God there is one sparrow. We have hope. So congratulations once again for the yeoman's service which you are performing. And I am sure, because objectively speaking, you exercise the right standards of editorial work. We will continue to be beacons of hope and light in days to come. I wish you a healthy, long life. I tell my children, learn one thing from Mr. Goel, and that is, हजार दिक्कतें आई, लेकिन हर सुबह media conference with Lal Goel came off this program. The exceptions are immaterial. I wish you similar success in days to come. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor Dr. Sudhir Saran, for the kind words which you have mentioned. Yes, dikkatein bahut aayi. Even I suffered with COVID, but with God's grace, I have not stopped telecasting our program media conference with Lal Goel. Even I was suffering from the COVID. But this I will tell our viewers that it also gives a very positive energy if you are doing something positive. And if the media is used responsibly, then you can you enjoy, because you are doing some service for the society, and that is very, very important nowadays. People go donate money here and there, do some physical service, but even this service, if media people understand one thing, that if they will give a proper and fair fair news, those news which are really suitable for the young child, that they should understand the family is not only consisting of the adults, the family, there are young children of 3 to 4 or 5 or 6 years. Youth also is there. So one should be responsible to give that type of content. And as Professor Dr. Sudhir sir mentioned, how the media is important, and he has mentioned that about the famous saying of Archimedes, that lever and the earth, that he can move the earth with the lever, and he says the lever is now media. So media is so much responsible today, and we have seen that with the power of media, the governments can be built or can be removed. This is only possible with the power of media. But if we will use it responsibly, if we are using it irresponsibly, we are seeing also sometimes very, very disaster, and it is not a healthy thing for the country or the nation building. Thank you very much, Professor Saran, for giving your views. I'm sure our viewers who are watching today's program are getting a sense that the media can play a very, very important role. But only thing is, if media is play with responsibility. Thank you very much. Now I would like to invite my next panelist guest, and he is Professor Dr. Pramod Pathak. Professor Dr. Pramod Pathak is reputed international corporate trainer, public speaker, blogger, and columnist. He is the former professor and head of management studies, IIT Dhanbad. He is postgraduate in psychology and an MBA with PhD in stress management from Banaras Hindu University. He is a reputed management and psychological consultant and is the founder of Kaizen Mantra, a training and consulting organization. He has also founded the Goodness Movement that aims to spread positivity through writings and lectures. His columns are published in leading newspapers and periodicals, and his blogs are read globally. He was also on faculty, Institute of Management, BHU. Having guided some 30 PhDs successfully, he has written several books and over 100 research articles in reputed journals. As a global lecturer, he has delivered talks at various international seminars, conferences, and workshops in several countries. Welcome, Professor Dr. Pramod Pathak on our show. Professor Dr. Pramod Pathak, you have already heard Dr. Mukesh Sharma and Professor Dr. Sudhir Saran. Both have given their views. And as you are a regular giving as a guest panelist on our show, and you have also attended our youth conclave where you have given the replies to the questions asked by the youth, especially those who are studying in management, MBA or BBA. You are a columnist yourself, you are a blogger. And I have gone through a few of your blogs and even your articles published in newspapers. And I found that you all try to give a very balanced view. Although today what we are seeing is the views are totally divided. Either you are a pro-government or against government. If you are a pro-government, then I'm talking about the present time, then you have to be pro-Hindu and anti-Muslim. And if you are against government, then you have to be pro-Muslim against Hindu. Similarly, for all the decisions which government of the day is taking, that media is divided in such a way that it is very, very, sometimes we feel, as Dr. Mukesh Sharma rightly says, we don't know what we are seeing, what we are reading, what we are watching, whether it is correct or not. And no one is there to clarify it. No agency is ready to, is there, it doesn't exist. And if the agency will come, then the question will come, the censorship. Now, being yourself a corporate trainer, and you are you are also spreading the goodness movement, which spread the positivity. We would like to know your views on the responsible use of media. Professor Dr. Pramod Pathak, please.
Thank you, Mr. Goel, and I greet all your viewers and, of course, my co-panelists on this show. First of all, congratulations for endlessly trying to prove what is responsible use of media. So you yourself are an epitome of this, and the kind of media we aim to see that you have been doing. Now, you have rightly chosen the subject, responsible use of media. Actually, that is what is happening. Irresponsible use of a means of communication that is leading the society to such a sorry pass. In fact, what started in India with Hickey's Bengal Gadget has come a long way since then. And today, as Mr. Sharma said so many things about the diversification and changes in the technology and patterns of media, we in fact have come to a stage where there are hundreds of means of media. In fact, if we go by the technical definition of a media in classical social psychology, we call it a means of mass communication. So now a means of mass communication can be done through many what we call medium. One of them is newspapers, the other is television, the other is cinema, the other is your social media, and so on and so forth. The list is endless. But the one word that makes a basic difference between what media should be and what media is the responsible use. What we have been observing today is that in a rush, and I don't say that it's always with the intention to be fool or to cheat or to what we call misinform or disinform people. Sometimes in over enthusiasm also, we share some news, we disseminate some news, which may do more harm than good. So I will be trying to focus on 2-3 very essential things. First, what is the objective of media? I think it has come up very well in the deliberations of the past two speakers. But I'd like to add from my side that it is a multifold, manifold objective. Inform, educate, entertain, and of course, awaken and inspire also. But these two large words are rather difficult to achieve, but they too are an objective of media. So educate, entertain, inform, awaken, and inspire. These days, what we are finding is that two more sets of objectives have been added. Of course, not everybody is doing that, but by and large. And that is misinformation and disinformation. So in fact, there's a very subtle difference between the two, misinformation and disinformation. Misinformation is when you are not deliberately trying to mislead somebody, but maybe by, say, wrong analysis or by your own biases, by your subjectivity, you disseminate the wrong information. Sometimes over-enthusiasm does that. In fact, in classical social psychology, we talk about spirit of rumors. This is how it happens. So that is what is one point. The second is disinformation. Disinformation is dangerous because it is done with an oblique motive. So now it is disinformation which has to be curbed. And it is disinformation that is what is damaging the society the most. And as we saw in the many instances in the past, there have been attempts to curb the what we call wrong use of media. Sometimes, of course, the wrong intention of the powers that be. And we have found that they have not been very successful. And ultimately, the powers that were exercised to curb the media had to let go. So in this regard, first let us come to one basic issue. What is the role of media? A very interesting punchline I'll like to start with. When the Express Group started its Hindi newspaper Jansatta, they had a wonderful punchline. Sabki khabar le, sabko khabar de. I'll repeat, sabki khabar le, sabko khabar de. Now, what does this mean? That the media should bring to the fore the facts, the truth. And second, it should reach to the common man so that he is not misled. These days, what is happening? The one objective of majority of those channels, particularly, I'm talking more about electronic media, which has done more damage, is largely to create confusion, create some kind of a confusion in the minds of the common man. And now, these days, we don't need what we call strict, overt controls. There are subtle ways of controlling media, and I think it's not to be discussed here. It's an open secret. Why some people, some channels speak from one viewpoint and why others speak from another. So this is dangerous because see, media needs revenue. And for that revenue, you need support from different quarters. Of course, the largest quarter that gives maximum revenue is the government, state government or central government. And that is why we find that these channels, these newspapers, they are at a very difficult situation. Either you risk closing down or you risk towing the line. So now this is one part. But at the same time, there are some sections of the media which have come with an intention to mislead the people and be on the right side of the powers that be. That is harmful. That is dangerous. So how to control this kind of misadventure which media is indulging? In fact, they are indulging in, I think, they are in fact playing with fire. That's the expression I'd like to use. They are playing with fire. Now, a recent discussion that is going on everywhere is about a film. And, you know, right from the top man of the country to the opposition to everybody, they're all talking about that film. It's a film, that's all. And films have a different objective. Had films been made to inform, they would have been doing different things. And society would have been much different, because I still don't remember a film which in the end shows that the good is defeated by bad. All films show one thing, that at the end, it's the good that triumphs over the evil. What is happening in the society? Largely the reverse. So films are not that powerful, and there was no need for such a heated discussion on a film which was just a film. And some people are of the what we call mistaken view that their films have changed the world. In fact, I have been writing columns for over 35 years, and in many of the leading newspapers, edit page columns. And every day when I write a column, I get up in the next morning to think that the world would have changed. The tragedy is that the world doesn't change. So the best course is that you use your knowledge, you use your information to disseminate the right information to the people. Now, in fact, the problem is that the masses are gullible. And making full use of this knowledge, some sections of the media play with fire. So Saranji rightly used the difference between dirty and rotten. So it's the rotten that is more dangerous because it does permanent damage. Dirtying you can clean. Rotten you can't clean. So now see what is happening. If you look at the news stories these days doing rounds, if you look at the channels disseminating information, you'd find one thing, that there is a huge divide. On the one side, there are a few, very few channels which are talking about, say, the news. And there are on the other side, there is a large number of channels which are talking about views, interpretation of facts. But usually it is misinterpretation. See, facts are facts. The point is how you interpret it. That is the problem with statistics also. That is the problem with everything. How you look at it. So this is what the media does. It gives you a perspective. Now, if you get the wrong perspective, which is happening in most of the cases, it will be very dangerous for the future of the country. And in fact, gradually we are moving towards that. And then, of course, I still believe that all is not lost yet. And since, of course, money controls, but more than money, it is the popular, what we call will also that is important. And gradually, I remember an old story, Aesop's fables, 5,000 years old. The story is about a donkey and a washerman. A washerman owned a donkey, and every day he would carry some cotton to the other side. Some salt to the other side to get some more money from a merchant. Now, one day it so happened that there was a culvert in the way, and there was a small stream flowing underneath that culvert. So one day it so happened that the donkey slipped and fell in that water. So by the time the owner of that donkey, the washerman, could pick up that donkey, much of the salt was melted in the water. So naturally, when the donkey started walking, he felt very light. So he got an insight. So from the next day, he would go on repeating the same trick. 1 day, 2 days, 3 days. Then the washerman could find a pattern in his actions. So on the 4th or 5th day, he came with a different strategy. He loaded that donkey with too much of cotton. And when the donkey, played the same trick on the culvert, it fell down, and then the cotton soaked all that water from the stream, and it became so heavy that the donkey, in fact, could now realize that he had made a mistake. So the point is that the same old trick will not work always. So the media, which is overindulgent, which is trying to what we call prove more loyal than the king, will realize one day that ultimately it is the popular opinion that works. And once you lose the credibility, you are gone. And yes, it takes time. But at the end, it will be the truth that will come out. It will be the facts that will be known to the people. So that of course, I am still hopeful and optimist about. And interestingly, it has happened in the past also. I can give you 2, 3 very concrete examples. 1984 elections. 2 very widely read and popular newspapers and magazines published from Calcutta. The reporting was, in fact, to the point of obnoxious. I mean, the reporting was such that the party which got 415 seats, a record in the parliament till date, their reporting would say that it will not get even 200 seats. And things came out as they were to come out. The party got 415 seats, and the media house lost its credibility. And those 2 magazines are no more in publication. So trying to be more loyal than the king has its own limitations. And it is like that, the case of that donkey. An oft-repeated trick will not work always. So I think that is the brighter side of the whole story, that ultimately people will realize that which media is to be believed and which not to be believed. And that was the reason why media played a very successful, very effective role in the freedom struggle also, when the reach was not as wide as it is today, when the speed was also not as fast as it is today. But Gandhiji used vernacular press to reach to the people, to the masses. So it's not that. I think, at the end, truth does come out. Of course, these days it is rather difficult to, judge between what is right and what is wrong, because we are now using technology in a very big way, artificial intelligence and machine learning. And in fact, deep fake is the new in thing. And these things are dangerous. But gradually, people will realize all this, that yes, this is right and this is wrong. So my point is that you have picked up the right subject. And of course, there's one more thing, and that's the most important thing, that every person has a thing called conscience. It is in different stages of slumber. In someone's, case, it is in deep slumber. In someone's case, it is on the verge of awakening. But ultimately, this is a fact that every person has a conscience, and it will awaken one day. Even Ravana's conscience awakened on his death when he was dying. So it will come out. So there's nothing to worry as such. And there are people like Lal Goel and Sarmaji, of course, who are still trying to be a part of the conscientious media, which is the need of the hour. So that is my take on the subject. And no matter how many files you create, people will ultimately realize which file is right and which file is wrong. So that has to be understood.
Okay. Thank you very much, Professor Dr. Pramod Pathak, for giving your views. Although in the end, and thanks for giving me the compliments, but in the end, you have, in one way, you have mentioned the media as a Ravan. Yes, media has become Ravan because of the acts which media is doing. That's the reason. But what Professor Pathak emphasized, the media can play a very, very important role. They should be impartial. They should not be those who are giving their own views. They must understand the views, take the views, and give the impartial views to the public. Let the viewers to decide. And he has given all the things, how it has happened in the past. And he has also mentioned how Mahatma Gandhi ji has used media for the freedom struggle. And we know that he has used his newspaper at that time, Harijan, very effectively. So all these things are brighter side of media, and there are dark side of media. So now my question goes to, thank you very much, Professor Pathak, for giving your views. Now my question goes to Dr. Mukesh Sharma. Dr. Mukesh Sharma, we have seen one act, which I'm sure at that time you were also at Mumbai, that 26/11 attack, terror attack in Mumbai. And at that time, almost all those private channels who were there existing were showing live telecast. And afterwards, it was said that the terrorists were benefited with that live telecast, the description, those which were not supposed to be described. Now, you being a media person yourself in such an important post, do you think the media has done a right thing by giving the right live things, showing what is happening to the public at large, or they have done something which is harmful? Although they are showing the live, the truth, they are not putting anything from their side. But do you think that they are harming our own country, our own nation, innocently? It was not intention by any media, I must say very clearly. I mean, media. So do you think the media should have played more responsibly at that time and use the media in a very responsible way, or it was right according to you? What should have been done in such type of situation? How the media should act? Dr. Mukesh Sharma, please.
Thank you, Lalji, because I'm sorry, बीच में मेरा network पता नहीं went for a toss completely, तो मैं miss कर गया. पर last में I just joined, so मुझसे पहले जो वक्ता थे उन्होंने whatever he said, उन्होंने एक अच्छी line कही जो मैं अक्सर कहता हूँ. वो fact है कि उस वक्त भी और आज भी the media was thinking that is more loyal than the king. And now when media becomes more loyal than the king, then the problems are there कि राजा को पता है चलेगा नहीं चलेगा, हम राजा से ज़्यादा जानते हैं, let us do this. They had no business, sir, to do that. It was a direct thing which they have put the country at a danger, and which they did, and later on they realized it. Because, please let me tell you, their ultimate aim is they are answerable to whom? They are answerable to their bottom line, which is their shareholders. They are not answerable to public. Please understand, whatever you may say, At the end of the day, bottom line is the thing which they are looking for. और उसके लिए they will go to any extent, sir. There is a difference between public service broadcasting and commercial broadcasting. And I'll tell you what, the difference is the public service broadcasting caters to the citizens of the country, whereas the private channels caters to the shareholders. They caters to the people, to the market. So don't expect them to be, more doing things which can be, which you can say that it is very appreciative. No, sir. As long as the bottom lines are to be asked for, as long as numbers are there, they will continue to do so. Very few people, वो उंगलियों पे आप गिन सकते हैं, which is still used to control it. अब देखिए ना, even newspaper में, there is always a tussle between the editor and the owner of the newspaper. Why? पहले तो खैर, at least the editor would put their foot down, people like M.V. Kamath and others, because they were names. Today, it is not like that. I used to say when I was in Doordarshan, that earlier we used to put program in the center and marketing around. That this is the program. Now, if you want to buy, you buy. If you don't want to buy, it's your cost. But this is the program will go like this. Because it is meant for a public service. But after some time, the things have changed. Now, the market is in the center and said that 1 minute, we will tell you what program is to be made and how it is to be made. Only then we fund it, we do it. The same thing is happening with newspaper. The same thing is happening channels. So that was one of the most foolish thing what media did, because again, usse pehle dekhiye na, most of the news channels came through wrong door entry, through you know that actor villain who was Shakti Kapoor. His escapades were shown in a broad daylight. Then there was another where this boy is down in the well, and whole day the entire media was sitting there and showing that. These channels have come up that distance. It used to look good sometimes. And दूसरी चीज जो बार बार कह रहे थे मुझसे पहले प्रवक्ता जो है कि he is sure that things will change. I will tell you, अगर मुझे भेड़ियों के बीच पाला जाएगा तो मैं भेड़िया ही बनूंगा बड़े होकर के, मैं कहाँ चेंज करूंगा? मैं चलना भूल जाऊंगा. I will walk on 4 legs. तो आज की जनरेशन से मतलब है, मेरी जनरेशन तो गई, we have done, we have seen, but the new millennials, believe me, they have no clue, sir, because last 4 years I've been dealing with them on various things in schools and colleges and academics, because I'm teaching them, and they have no clue. And they are not bothered, let me tell you. They are just not bothered. Other day I read in the newspaper, today only, or day before yesterday, a 17-year-old boy. He committed suicide, I think, after Holi, and he was the son of a director, a film director. A 17-year-old boy, why? Because his father scolded him, why were you drinking so much? Now I'm asking, कि 17 साल तक बाप क्या करता रहा उसका, जो उसने वहां तक पहुंचने दिया कि दीवार पर पहुंच के कूदी मार दी उसने? क्योंकि आज की तारीख में माँ बाप के पास समय नहीं है, सर. They don't have the time for the children, because everyone is, हमारे समय में संस्कार फिर भी जिंदा थे. Our parents would sit down and talk to us कि ये ऐसा है, तुम choose कर लो क्या है. They would tell us. आज के दौर में नहीं हुआ है, सर. Millennials के साथ, I'm sorry, as you are right, they are not to be responsible. The parents are responsible. So जो हम बो रहे हैं वही हम काटेंगे. कोई नई फसल नहीं मिलेगी, सर. आप कुछ भी कर लीजिए, यही फसल मिलने वाली है. इस फसल में yes, you may find some people who can change it midway through. कुछ उसमें जिसे कहते हैं ना, डीएनए में कुछ हो जाए उस फसल के, some changes आ जाएं and something new come up. We don't know, but it is really going to be a really mad world the way it is happening. Not you go on the social media, आप देखिए ना कहीं भी, only sex, nothing is there, sir. Especially the younger lot, because उसी में ad डाला, and all sorts of new ideas they are putting there in that. Short videos, 2-minute video, 1 minute, all that is media only. Who is stopping them? Earlier तो ठीक है, everything was open, they stopped it कि नहीं हम बाहर के channels बंद कर देंगे. But they are coming out with this originality thinking कि नहीं आ रही है. उसके लिए क्या करना गोयल साहब? That is I am worried. वो चीज कैसे होगी? How are we going to do it? Maybe this is how I would like to respond.
Okay, but you have not given me the answer of my question about
so
that.
मैंने कह दिया ना, sir. I said that was the biggest mistake because they thought they were more loyal than the king.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Sharma. And Dr. Sharma made a very important point about the funding, that all those media people are responsible to their shareholders. They are not responsible for the social service. They have not least bothered. And when Dr. Sharma or the Doordarshan earlier, they were doing the social service. They are responsible for the society. They cannot do anything which is going to harm the society. So now I'm going to come to the Professor Dr. Sudhir Saran, being a person from the management side. Professor Saran, why these corporates are allowed to enter in the media? I will give an example. In 2019-20 fiscal year, the central government were spending roughly 1.95 or say 2 crores rupees per day on advertisement. And these advertisements are going to the all the top. And now I'm sure that these figures are old. Now the figures are far, far more. Okay. So when this is the situation at the present, why you require big houses? Bar them that no corporate with having a corpus of more than 10 crores or 5 crores are allowed to enter in this. Let it be a cooperative movement. Let it be a startups things in a very, very small thing. Let the then government should fund them, but it should be autonomous fund. Nowhere the government have any control on the content of the media. And as Dr. Mukesh Sharma rightly says, the editor should have the power to cut or to show what they want to show and what not to show. What do you think that until unless, because if the big corporates are there, and big corporates, you know, well, the two corporates are ruling, but one corporate is directly controlling almost 80% of the top media, or 90%, I can say, through the loans or through the shareholding pattern. But if they will, and they have lots of works with the government, so they cannot go against the government at present. That situation is, and they are also reaping all the benefit from the government by getting other contracts or the money revenue which they are earning every day from the advertisement. This amount is earlier amount. I'm sure the amount has gone, and it's only the central government is spent. What about the PSUs? What about the state governments? There are so many agencies from right hand or left hand and this and that. So my point is, try to make a law that an autonomous body should be there, like the Prasar Bharati, which Dr. Sharma mentioned. But the purpose was defeated again. You have an autonomous body with an autonomous head, and the capital, or those who cannot enter, who are a big corporates. Let it be for the cooperative things, like we have Amul, etc. What do you say about this, Dr. Sharma?
गोयल साहब, एक कहावत आपने सुनी होगी, जिंदगी भर एक ही भूल मैं करता रहा, जिंदगी भर एक ही भूल मैं करता रहा, धूल चेहरे पे थी, आईना साफ करता रहा। जब कुएं में भांग घुली हो तो फिर कहना कि गांव के लोग होश में आ जाएं, कुछ वैसी ही बात है। समय कम है, इसलिए मैं संक्षेप में कह देना चाहता हूं अपनी बात। ये जो फिलॉसफी है ना, ये सबकी मां है, और आज की फिलॉसफी ये है कि एक ये दुनिया है धरती, और एक ऊपर दुनिया है स्वर्ग। है तो दोनों यहीं पर। लोग पॉलिटिकल पावर का रास्ता खोजते हैं कमर्शियल पावर से, और कुछ लोग जो हैं उससे समझदार होते हैं, वो कहते हैं कि पॉलिटिकल पावर तो उसी की सेवा करता है जिसके पास लक्ष्मी हो। और इसलिए इस सच को अगर ध्यान में रखें आप, तो सारी कहानी क्लियर हो जाती है। आखिर ये जो बड़े बड़े नाम हैं देश भर में विदेश भर में, ये तो दो जो मीडिया लोगों की बात, टाइकून्स की आपने बात की, वो तो इंडिया के मीडिया कंट्रोल करते हैं। दुनिया की जो वर्ल्ड मीडिया है उसको भी कंट्रोल करने वाले लोग हैं, उनके नाम भी जानते हैं, यहां नाम नहीं लेना चाहता मैं। मगर आप ये भी ध्यान रखें कि जैसे पॉलिटिक्स में होती है, फ्रैंचाइज छोटे छोटे कणों में बटी होती है एक एक इंडिविजुअल के पास, वैसे ही मीडिया की जितनी पावर है ना, वो छोटे छोटे टुकड़ों में एक एक सब्सक्राइबर के पास बटी होती है। अखबार कभी भी अपने प्राइस से वायबल नहीं होता है, विज्ञापनों से होता है, और विज्ञापन श्रोता के लिए जाता है। आपने अभी एडिटर की बात की कि वो अपना मान सम्मान विवेक सब गिरवी रख के जो ओनर्स की इच्छा होती है उसको आगे बढ़ाने में लग जाता है। मोर रॉयल देन द किंग। सच्चाई टेम्पररली कुछ सदियों तक, कुछ समय तक रह सकती है ऐसी। मैं ये इंगित करना चाहता हूं कि फिलॉसफी ये कहती है कि एक दूर तक ही आप आदमी के दिमाग से खिलवाड़ कर सकते हैं, उसके बाद आदमी कहता है बस अब नहीं। और वो दिन आते हैं। अंत में आप याद कीजिए कि 1960s में पाकिस्तान में एक वाकया हुआ था। एक रूलर हुआ करते थे, उन्होंने कहा कि काले कपड़े कोई नहीं पहनेगा, वह अलावा 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 चीजें। एक सिंपल से पोएट ने एक शायरी लिखी, एक सिंपल सी गायिका ने काली साड़ी पहनी, एक स्टेडियम में पहुंच गई, गा दिया, वो कहाँ गया? होती रही ये चीजें, होती रहेंगी, इसी में उम्मीद की किरण है। बस आप विश्वास बनाए रखें, मीडिया कॉन्फ्रेंस लाल गोयल का छोटा सा दिया जलाए रखें, एक छोटी सी खिड़की खुली रखें, बाकी चीजें अपने आप अपना काम कर जाएंगी।
Okay, thank you very much. Although you have tried to avoid my question, direct question, why not Ben? But anyway, you have made a point very clearly. Now my question goes to Professor Pathak. Professor Pathak, हमेशा कहा जाता है कि if you want to harm any country or any just attack their generation. Don't you think this media is poisoning the generation? Earlier वार लड़ा करते थे, आमने सामने लड़ाई होती थी, फौजें लड़ती थी। अब धीरे धीरे वार का रूप चेंज हो रहा है, एयर अटैक्स हो रहे हैं, ये हो रहा है। अब जो नया अटैक हो रहा है वो सोशल अटैक है, सोशल मीडिया पे अटैक है, कल्चरली बैंकक्रप्ट करने का अटैम्प्ट है। अगर आप पहले फाइनेंशियली बैंकक्रप्ट, अब आज जो कंडीशन हो रही है, जैसे डॉक्टर शर्मा ने कहा, उन्हें कोई होप नहीं दिखती क्योंकि हम लोग भेड़ियों के बीच में रह रहे हैं। आपको क्या लगता है कि जो नए जनरेशन पे जो बम्बार्ड कर रहा है मीडिया और इस तरह का वायलेंस दिखाता है, इतना एग्रेसिव होता जा रहा है, जो उन्होंने एग्जाम्पल दी, आज बच्चों के संग आप कोई सीरियल नहीं देख सकते, कोई पिक्चर नहीं देख सकते, इतना वायलेंस भरा हुआ है। तो टुडे ओनली आई वाज टॉकिंग टू माय डॉटर एंड इन यूएसए आई सेड यूएसए में व्हाई द यंग चिल्ड्रंस आर पिकिंग अप द गन्स एंड शूटिंग इन द स्कूल, बिकॉज वहां बच्चों में एग्रेशन भर चुका है, मीडिया दिखाता है, वहां पे फिल्म्स ऐसी ऐसी आती हैं जिसमें वो सब दिखाते हैं। तो she what her reply was, don't worry, now India is also following the same thing, see the condition in India, and this is the fact. Do you think if we will not stop now, it is going to create a very big problem for our young generation? What you say about this, Professor Pathak?
There are two sides of what you have asked. One is, yes, the situation is alarming, it is dangerous, it is grim, and we must be, in fact, careful. We must be careful to analyze the whole situation. But there is another side of it, that all this will come to an end. And I think because I have been teaching values and ethics to exactly the same generation, which we think has been completely polluted. But I find that values and ethics paper and that values and ethics class was the most popular class in the entire semester. And students still come to me, sir, whatever you have said is perfectly right. And in fact, at the heart of his hearts, every individual wants to be honest, wants to be a values-driven person. The only thing is he thinks that the society is not accepting that. The day we are able to sell this idea, things will change. And things, I mean, worse things have happened in the past also. Things have changed. Change is the only certainty. And change takes its own time, but it does change. Nature is, of course, brings most of the changes. And I think we may, of course, we may try to do that. We may be a part of that. But there is no need to lose hope. We will.
Okay.
We will.
Okay. Thank you, Professor Pathak. Now my question goes to Dr. Mukesh Sharma. Dr. Sharma, what one suggestion you would like to give, or any concrete suggestion would like to give to the government, so that whatsoever happening today can be make it we will use responsible use of media can be done either to government or to media or to the public at large? What suggestion you would like to give? No, sorry, please unmute. Please unmute.
Yeah, but before that, I just want to give my response to what Dr. Pathak has said.
Yeah.
He said change आएगा. मैं बार-बार कह रहा हूँ change for better है या change for worse है. Change तो होगा, तो वो एक खतरा जरूर दिखता है। और दूसरा ये भी कहूंगा डॉक्टर पाठक से कि जिस देश में 6-6 कोस पर भाषा बदलती है, पानी बदलता है, कपड़े बदलते हैं, एक वर्ग को आपने देख लिया और कह दिया कि मैं खुश हूँ, मैंने 6 लोगों को देख लिया कह दिया खुश हूँ, नहीं। बहुत स्थिति इतनी ज्यादा इंटरमिंगल्ड है कि ये पता नहीं है कि ये सच है कि ये झूठ है। इसी तरीके से जो कह रहा है वो सत्य है या वो सत्य नहीं है। मेरा भरोसा इसलिए नहीं उठा क्योंकि मैं हर किस्म के स्कूल से निकल के आया अभी हाल में, और मैं इसलिए दुखी हो गया कि सब कुछ करने के बाद भी आई फाउंड कि वो चीज उनको बचपन में ही नहीं थी। मैं बार बार क्यों कह रहा हूँ कि अगर, और था भी आज के इसमें बीच में आता है कि एक बच्चा भेड़ियों के बीच में पला था, और जब वो बड़ा हुआ तो पैरों से चार चलने लगा, और वो बड़ी मुश्किल हुई जो उसको वापस कर पाए, पर वो हो नहीं पाया सीधा। तो कहने का मतलब है कि उस जनरेशन को हम कुछ कर ही नहीं रहे, कुछ हम दे ही नहीं रहे, तो अपने आप कहाँ सोच लेंगे वो कर लेंगे। और हम का मतलब है मेरी और आपकी उम्र के नहीं, क्योंकि हम तो दादा और बाबा की उम्र में आ गए हैं। मैं कह रहा हूँ उनके पेरेंट्स को, हमारे बच्चों को, क्योंकि ये थर्ड जनरेशन की बात कर रहा हूँ, जो जनरेशन पूरी की पूरी गायब हो चुकी है सर। मेरे कंसर्न उससे है, क्योंकि मैंने जैसे आपसे कहा मैं पब्लिक ब्रॉडकास्टर भी था, मैं प्राइवेट में भी देखा मैंने, अभी भी मैं एक चैनल चला रहा हूँ बैठ करके MIT में, यहाँ 10,500 बच्चे हैं मेरे पास। लेकिन उनसे जब मैं बात करता हूँ विज्ञान की, धर्म की, अध्यात्म की, धर्म तो छोड़िए, उनको टच नहीं होता। लेकिन जैसे ही मैं कहता हूँ युवा कट्टा में कोई सस्ती बात करूँ, कोई छोटी बात करूँ, वो मुझसे जुड़ जाते हैं। कनेक्टिविटी बड़ी डिफरेंट हो गई है सर। तो मैं क्या पेश कर रहा हूँ उनके सामने, मुझे उसके लिए जरा फिक्र है। पर एनीवे, that is a different thing. That is my viewpoint. You may agree, sir. You may not agree. But anyway, coming back to what he's saying is, my one suggestion, sir, is still, जो कहते हैं ना, spare the rod and spoil the child. I still feel if we want to, the media को या चीजों को थोड़ा control करना, we must bring back, or we don't have rather, the broadcasting laws. The broadcasting laws 2007 में गवर्नमेंट ने डाली थी इंटरनेट पर, INB मिनिस्ट्री ने, कि ये लॉज हम लाना चाहते हैं और इसमें ये डूज एंड डोंट्स, एंड दे वर पिक्ड अप नॉट फ्रॉम इंडिया, दे वर पिक्ड अप ऑल ओवर द वर्ल्ड, बिकॉज़ एवरी कंट्री हैज अ ब्रॉडकास्टिंग लॉ। इसी देश में नहीं है, क्योंकि वही मैंने कहा ना, वी आर मोर लॉयल देन द किंग। तो वो ब्रॉडकास्टिंग लॉज अगर गवर्नमेंट किसी तरीके से लाती है, क्योंकि प्राइवेट मीडिया ने कहा हम खुद अपनी कर लेंगे मैनेज, आप फिक्र मत करिए, उनको कोई ढिले भर के लिए पूछता नहीं है, ना न्यूज के उनको पूछता है, ना दूसरे उसको पूछता है, क्योंकि एट द एंड ऑफ द डे जब तक डंडा कोड़ा नहीं होगा, जब तक गवर्नमेंट की ब्रॉडकास्टिंग लॉज नहीं आएंगी, तब तक कुछ होने वाला नहीं है सर। ये चीजें ऐसे ही हम बात करते रहेंगे, सब बड़ा अच्छा है, बड़ा अच्छा है, लेकिन मैं भुगत रहा हूँ सर, इसलिए मुझे मालूम है। वी नीड ब्रॉडकास्टिंग लॉज टू एंश्योर दैट द डूज एंड डोंट्स, रात में कौन सा प्रोग्राम जाएगा, बच्चों के लिए कब जाएगा, क्या नहीं दिखाएंगे, क्या दिखाएंगे, सारी चीजें उसमें आ जाती है।
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Sharma. My same question goes to Dr. Sudhir Charan. Time is short, so short answer. What suggestion you would like to give so that the responsible use of media will be there? Professor Saran? I think Professor Saran is network. Yes. No, your network has. We can't hear you. Your network has gone. So, okay. So, Professor Pathak, Professor Pathak, your
yeah, on the same question.
Yeah, what is your suggestion so that the media responsibly used?
My only suggestion is that the government thinks that it is controlling the media, but the fact is that these things don't last long. These things don't last. So I think don't try to be working like someone who created the Frankenstein, because ultimately it will backfire.
Okay.
So I think everyone should be
okay. Thank you very much.
Yeah, Dr. Goel, I just want to add one thing. I am not trying to say that do this. I am saying that कि यार बाएं गाड़ी बाएं चलाओ, राइट गाड़ी राइट चलाओ, ये तो लॉ दे दो भाई। आई एम जस्ट सेइंग पीने का पानी ऐसे पियो, चलो ऐसे देखो, ऐसे बोलो, ऐसे, ये लॉ की बात कर रहा हूँ मैं। ये थोड़ी कर रहा हूँ कि तुम जो बना रहे हो उस पर मैं कंट्रोल कर रहा हूँ। मेरे पास वही लॉ नहीं है इस देश में। जब वो लॉज नहीं है तो मैं कैसे करूंगा आगे बात? तो सबके लिए खुला फ्रीडम है, हर आदमी तलवार चला रहा है अपनी।
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Sharma. Professor Sharan, are you there? Professor Sharan, can you?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, although your network is 30 seconds only. Yes, tell me what suggestion you would like to give.
Media and government don't mix together. Media is totally a act of mind, and therefore laissez-faire, least regulation, always produce best quality media.
Okay, thank you very much.
जितनी ज़्यादा government control आती है, उतनी media की जिम्मेदारी खत्म होती है.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Sharan. So viewers, you have seen today on our second anniversary of media conference with Lal Goel, the views given by the experts, views about that the responsible use of media. And when we blame the media, we must also understand, after all, the civil society is to be blamed more, because after all, media people are from the society only. They are not from somewhere else. Why to expect something if you are after all, if you are viewing that, that's what the media is showing. If you boycott that particular media, if you will not see a particular program, no media will try to impose or try to repeat that program again. So it depends on the civil society. You have to change. You have to see your, as Dr. Sharma mentioned very clearly about the young generation, the youth. If you are not particularly careful about what your children or grandchildren are watching, what is going to happen tomorrow? You are going to lose the cultural values or the moral values in those children. So the responsibility lies in me and you, the entire civil society, because government definitely, with our government on power, try to manipulate the media for their own benefit, but it all depends on us that how we will take it. Thank you very much. And today's program has been live telecasted by V4 News, Karu News, V4 Stream, Malnadu TV India, News Gaon se, Samvad Sarokar News, Bharat Post News, Gyan, and also it was shown live on Facebook and YouTube. And our endeavor to bring to you every day a new topic on media conference with Lal Goel at 10:30 a.m. Tomorrow is a Wednesday, and tomorrow we are doing this series of democratic reform series. And tomorrow the topic is corporate reforms in India. And our panelists are Mr. Ramnath Pradeep, former chairman and bank director, Corporation Bank. Mr. R. Kannan, corporate advisor, keynote speaker, ex-TCS, ICICI Bank and Hinduja Group, Mumbai. Mr. Sanjay Vidyarthi, co-founder, Agritech Enablers Private Limited, Bharat 2, India Connect, Gurugram. And Dr. Naveen Gupta, director, Hindustan Institute of Management and Computer Studies, Sharda Group of Institutions, Mathura. So please tune in tomorrow for media conference with Lal Goel at 10:30 a.m. Thank you very much, Dr. Mukesh Sharma. Thank you very much, Professor Dr. Sudhir Saran. And thank you very much, Professor Dr. Pramod Pathak, for joining, giving your views, and especially complimenting the media conference with Lal Goel. I'm sure this media conference with Lal Goel, with lots of love from you, all the viewers, and all our panelists who are coming and giving their views. And I would like to just mention one more thing to our viewers. Viewers, this is the program where neither I am charging anything, nor the channels are paying anything, nor I am paying to the channel, nor I am paying to any panelist, or nor the panelist is paying to coming on my channel, which is happening in many of the media. So whatsoever we are talking, we should understand many of the channels are charging even from the experts to give their views. And if an expert pay the money, and so he would like to definitely try to manipulate in his views to you. So be careful. See only those things like Dr. Mukesh Sharma's channel or media conference with Lal Goel, or many other channels who are doing selfless service to the society. Thank you very much. And thank you all the viewers for watching our show. Thank you.